Go ahead, Shariff.
All right.
What's up, everybody? Y'all know what time it is.
Vibes.
I was talking and you interrupted.
Yo, it's a collaborative effort.
It is a collaborative effort, but I usually start and then I bring you on. You just hopped right in there. Y'all know how we get on this show, man. We always got the jokes. We always got the comedy. But this one, we did a few episodes. The last two episodes that we've done was about, our faith-related topics and things of that nature. But for this one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to switch it back to our regular discussion board topics, our sports topics. And this is actually a follow-up episode for something that we done a long time ago. And we're addressing the NIL situation in college athletics. And for those who don't know, NIL is name, image, and likeness deals. So before, we all know that college athletes are not allowed to get paid for playing a sport. And up until recently, probably like sometime either last year or the year before that, athletes were able to get paid for the name, image, and likeness, so endorsement deals, social media, things of that nature. And we did an episode on it, but that's when it was just starting. And we were like, this is a great idea, but we didn't really know how it was going to play out. Now we're in it.
Deep in it.
Now we're in it, and people have been making bank. And I'm like not even a few couple of dollars, couple $1,000s. We talking in the millions. Some of these college athletes are getting paid. So now that we have a better idea on how it's been going, Reef, I want to bring you in, you know what I'm saying? So that way you can give us an idea on what your thoughts are now and how you feel about it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, because before it was a really good concept, and it still is. Mm-hmm. However, and I'm not going to speak for you, but I know on my part, there's just some things that I think need to be tweaked in how it's being played out and how it's being ran and organized. So I just want to get your thoughts on it and how you feel about it.
Honestly, it's funny because the same thoughts I kind of had before are kind of the same thoughts that I still have now. And
right.
It's because I think a lot of the things that we spoke about in the last episode actually has come to pass,
mm-hmm.
right? In terms of the impact it would make for kids and, the reason for them going to school and the reason why they're going to try and play collegiate sports, the impact it was going to have on the industry and, like, the competitive nature of everything as a whole.
Right.
We saw Nick Saban
mm-hmm.
right, leave,
mm-hmm.
and the main reason why Nick had left, he says, is because he just doesn't see how he can coach in this type of atmosphere,
right?
Right, with the new NIL stuff and everything. I do still think it's a good thing in this ideology, right? Because we understand how big of a revenue-generating industry collegiate sports is.
Oh yeah, especially college football.
College football, the NCAA tournament, men's and women's tournaments, all these different things are bringing in money that competing with professional sports, if we're being quite honest.
100%.
Right? I mean, if we talk about the NCAA tournaments, I mean, I'm pretty sure we put the numbers up and side by side with those the NBA finals, NBA playoffs. I'm pretty sure it's not that far off, right? And it's just because it's a staple of the American sports culture that we have today.
Yeah.
So because of that, these kids who, and we were both collegiate athletes, we know what it takes to, the sacrifice and the time and the dedication that it takes. You could be doing another job,
right,
in the time that you're playing the sport
right.
in college. You can be, focused on another hustle, that can get you some type of income instead of playing a sport. But you decided to sacrifice your time and energy in the 4 years that you're playing collegiate sports to play the sport. So I think it is right that they receive some type of compensation for it. Right?
100%.
Now, like I said, it's the things that we spoke about before. Now is it being managed well? Because now we're also talking about 16, 17, 18-year-old kids being introduced to the possibility and the idea of having millions of dollars.
Right.
And is that the best case scenario?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I know we're going to get into it. There's multiple instances and examples of how this game is now slowly being turned into how much money can I make? It's becoming a professional sports type of industry.
Yes.
You see the transfer portal. Bro, I remember when the transfer portal was something like you had to leave because there was no opportunity or situation for you
Right.
to succeed at that school. So now you're trying to find someone else to do it.
Exactly.
And now kids are just up and leaving because like, yo, listen, yeah, you know, it was a good run here, but I'm getting more money somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
You know, because now you think about as a coach, as a collegiate coach, how are you going about trying to bring recruits in? You know, before it was about the facilities that they had, you know, the way that they were developing these kids, to
The
become
culture,
good men
the
and,
program,
you know, men and women
the
in
school.
society.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're doing well in school, all these different things. Now I'm pretty sure the coaches are trying to figure out how exactly am I going to compete with this school that's offering such and such amount of money in NIL money and I don't have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it also does at the same time too open doors for you know, places and schools that are in, you know, large market communities
Right.
that aren't doing the greatest, right? So
Right.
for example, it's St. John's University, right? Being in New York City, you know, having a coach now like Rick Pitino, you know, maybe this gives an opportunity for kids to want to come to St. John's because of the NIL money opportunities that may be here in New York. Right. But then we can see it on the opposite side too with the small market teams out there in the world, right? The small market teams that don't have the best NIL opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, how much is this going to be counterproductive to their development as a program, as an organization, right? So, like, it just opens the door to more questions, you know, that we kind of already had, just more in-depth questions now when it comes to NIL.
So I think the biggest thing is the regulation of it.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not even like the fact that it's a bad thing in its entirety, but it's no, how can we regulate? What are the rules? What are the guidelines? How do we go about structuring this thing where, like you're saying, 18, 19-year-olds are making $1 million+ plus. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to throw some numbers at you. Shador Sanders, we know who he is. I mean, granted, he's a little bit older. However, he's in college right now, and his NIL valuation is around $4 million. Bronny James, his is between $3 and $4 million. He's a freshman at USC.
Averaging 5 points a game.
Right.
Let me not do that, though.
Right. But that's what we're talking about. It's like he's not even somebody. Name outside of his name. If you did not know his pops, or if you did not know that his last name was James, you wouldn't even know him in the college atmosphere, in the college arena, just because he hasn't had that much of an impact on it yet. However, he himself is making $3 to $4 million in NIL money. Travis Hunter, about $2 million. Arch Manning, another one, right? He's making about $2 million, and he hasn't even played a snap in college football yet. He hasn't even played a snap. You know what I'm saying? Angel Reese, she was making a lot of money. Caitlin Clark was making a lot of money. And there's this other LSU gymnast. Her name is Olivia Dunn. She was making a good amount of money too. You know what I mean? So, like you're saying, it's millions of dollars to these players. And going back to the point that you brought up about Nick Saban, and that was a huge part to why he retired from the sport. It wasn't the fact that he was getting old, because Nick Saban was in his 70s. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's hard to, you know, people, I think, fail to realize that, or you kind of forget that. But Nick Saban has been doing this for decades.
Bro.
You know what I'm saying? Decades, and not just at Alabama. He was at LSU. You know what I'm saying? And he was at some other schools too before he got there. I think Tulane was one of them. I don't. If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on it. But he was saying that him and his wife were hosting recruitment dinners at their house, as they do often. This isn't something that they did once in a blue moon, but this was a regular routine thing that they did. And at the dinner, the players were asking him, well, how much am I going to make? How much are you going to pay me for me to come play for the University of Alabama? Alabama is certified.
Bro, like, and you know, that's the craziest part to me about it, and that's what makes, and we're going to go deeper into that, but the fact that they had the boldness. It just goes to show you what the change is coming, right? The fact that they had
to
the
a Nick
boldness
Saban
to be able to ask Nick Saban.
Yes.
And then granted, you have the talent. Like, at the end of the day, Nick Saban isn't Nick Saban without people like you.
For sure.
But
for sure,
understanding the program that you're looking into getting into, you know, understanding the legacy, the history behind it, like, it's something where it's more like, okay, what am I bringing to the table?
Right.
Is what you would think the average person is
exactly
thinking. What am I bringing to the table to make Alabama continue to beat Alabama?
Yes.
But no, for them, it was, I'm going to Alabama. I better get chicken for it.
I better get paid.
Yep.
I better get paid.
It's crazy. And, you know, we could even go, like I said, you know, we could go deeper into
Let's do it. Go ahead.
I think, like, you now even speak about that when it comes to these kids transferring into the professionals as well, and how it's had an impact on that too.
Yes.
Right? Like, you have kids that aren't doing combines, right? Like, I know Marvin Harrison, which, you know, you can pick and choose as to why he decided not to do the combine, right? I'm not going to sit here and speculate that it was because he was making great amount of money.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the impact of these kids touching this amount of money at such an early age is now desensitizing them to the importance or the value of what it means to go and become a professional. Or what it means to go and play at a school like LSU or like Alabama, right? And so now it's more about like me, you know, than it is like what you're looking to do.
Yes.
You know, like
but that was one of the biggest things about college sports. What separated you from a professional is that you are considered an amateur. You were not getting paid for your performances on the field, even though a lot of money is generated off of your performance and off of the sweat and of your labor and your brow. However, you are still a student. You are still in school, so you have to maintain that amateurism status while you were there, because the minute you start getting paid for what you do on the field, you are now considered a professional. So while you're in college, and we talked about this, it's like we understand the sacrifices that you have to make when you are playing a collegiate sport, no matter the division, 1, 2, 3, JUCO. No matter where you are at, when you are playing college sports, it is a grind. It is a sacrifice each and every day. And it's not just while you're in season, but it's all season. It's the summer. And it does take you away from being able to work specific jobs or even working in general. You know, so you needed some place or something to help fund whatever you're doing in school. However, millions of dollars is, to me, unnecessary. You know what I mean? And being that there is no regulation over it, you are now having situations where a kid is playing on the same team as somebody else who's getting paid these millions of dollars. So along with what we were talking about with Nick Saban, with kids asking how much you're going to pay me, now it comes down to there's got to be a change in how you coach these kids, because you are making this amount of bread. Your name is making a lot more noise. There's a lot more status. There's a lot more backing to it. How can you know what I'm saying, like how can you kind of get a handle on that while you're in practice? Now you you can't say everybody gets coached the same way. Not necessarily so. Not necessarily so.
And, you know, just to add on to what you're saying, you know, in terms of how you're going to coach these players, how you're going to go about teaching these players. One player that I know was in the news a lot in terms of his quote-unquote inability to be coachable, his inability to be a team player, you know, being a little bit selfish at times in the way he thinks and does things. And like I said before with Marvin, I'm not going to speculate as to those things being true or not.
Right.
He's still a rookie.
Right.
We talk about Caleb Williams, right? His NIL earnings that he made at the time that he was a college athlete was $10 million. Wow. $10 million. His rookie contract that he's getting is 4 years for $38.5.
Right.
So we're saying here that within his time at school, he already made a fourth. He made what his yearly earnings are going to be in the NFL.
In the NFL.
You know, so like. And like I said, I'm not going to speculate, but knowing that me being an athlete, us all just being humans in general, I mean, I could sit there and really understand how you kind of get less, you know, it doesn't mean as much to you that I'm about to become a number one draft pick and get this $38.5 million, you know, because I already had millions of dollars beforehand. Yeah. You know, so the little things that you may have taken seriously, the little things that you would have, you know, position yourself in the right way to be able to maximize your draft capital, your draft stock or whatever. You're not going to really take those steps anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
You know? And then not only that, but then also too, now you talk about when you get to the league, right? Is there going to be an understanding of a next level up as to how you're supposed to play the game?
Right.
Because you've already been at a point where you played the game at a high level and made money for it. Yeah. So mentally, you think, I play good enough to make money playing football. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Now, when you get to that next level, when that actually is supposed to be the case, the level is higher. Yeah. The skill sets are higher. Exactly. Everything is much better. So now, what's that drive for you to say, nah, I got to get better?
Something more, something other than money has to be your incentive to play. Exactly. You feel me? Because if that's what you were doing in college, then it works for you there. But in the league, they're not just doing it for the bread. They're doing it for the love. You know what I mean? Like, they are doing it for the love of the game. And if you aren't on the same page as them, if you're on that team, you're going to be a detriment to the team because you don't have the drive, like you're saying, in order to compete at that level. And you've already seen the money. So to you, it could be, and now this is just our opinion. It's not to say that these people are actually thinking like that, but it can come across that way because of what this is now doing to the industry.
100%. But let me not be mistaken, though. I think that these questions and issues that we're bringing up now isn't something that has just come around because of the NIA deal. What we all know to be true is that at the end of the day, there was always some form of compensation to collegiate athletes.
Yeah.
Throughout their,
right.
You know, collegiate careers.
Yep.
Under the bed, you know, under the rug stuff that they would give their players and stuff like that.
Yes, boosters and stuff like that. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, I think that as that became more of an emphasis within the collegiate sports, and now we've reached the peak at what is NIL deals. We started to see that hunger within collegiate players kind of die. So one thing the example I mean by that is, you know, you see a lot of these collegiate athletes now, when you go onto their Instagram pages and, you know, you're looking at through their Instagram before they get to the league, kind of look like NFL players already. The cars that they're driving, you know, the stuff that they're wearing. Then, you know, you brought up what's his name, son, from Colorado, Shador Sanders, right? Shador Sanders, you know, spring, off-season time, a lot of times you would see these kids, the only things they're posting is going to the field, you know, getting right in the gym, this, that, and the third. If they did have some leisure time or enjoyable time, it wasn't like they were showing it off to the world because they knew the stature they were in. Right? They were in a state of I have to grind to get to somewhere.
Exactly.
But now these guys are posting, you know, going to Ibiza, going to these places, you know, just having fun, enjoying life. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing is wrong.
But that hunger,
it takes away from the game.
I don't see it anymore.
It takes away. It does.
I don't see it anymore.
It takes away from the game. And then again, it's because there is no regulation. So $10 million, and that is still not even the cap of what he could have made.
Exactly.
He could have made more than that. So now we're talking about giving a kid that's still in college maybe close to $20 million.
And that's the thing. And that's where we get to in terms of what the solution would be.
Exactly.
Like, there has to be, there's caps in the NFL for a reason.
Exactly. You
know, like, there has to be some type of caps to this.
Right.
Like, hey, all right, you guys have a total of this amount of money in NIL money that you can give up, you know? Or, because I know a lot of times NIL is more like a sponsorship. Right? So, for example, it's not really the school itself.
It's right. And I was going to say that, too. Schools aren't paying these players. Exactly. These are outside entities that are paying these players.
So it's like, okay, if that's going to be the case, then NCAA should come up with a rule saying, like, okay, every school is allowed to have this much in sponsorship money being given to their athletes. Right. You know? So the minute you hit that number,
that's it.
You know? And now, obviously, negotiations will have to go into that. You know what I mean? All the different things, all those different nuances. But there has to be a solution. I mean, at the end of the day, NCAA, that's their job. The same way we wake up every day 9 to 5 and go to our job.
Exactly.
That's your job. So
exactly.
It's the most efficient way to have these sports being run. So find a way to be able to have caps on these NIL deals to where schools aren't being left in the dust just because they don't have, you know, a big market. Or kids aren't leaving. There's kids going to 3-4 different schools before they graduate. Bro.
And to that point, it's like they're leaving these schools. However, wherever they're at could be what's best for them as a person, as an individual. It could be what you need in order to develop, in order to grow, in order to gain wisdom. It could be the place, the environment that you need to be in, but because they aren't paying what you want them to, now you're up and leaving, and you probably aren't as athletic or as talented as you think you are. Your talent could be more refined, and you need somebody that's able to bring it out of you. But if you just run into someone because they can pay you more, but they're not able to develop the talent and get you to your potential, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You are.
No, 1,000%.
You are. And then, like we're saying, the way the game is now, these kids just have so much that they can do, and it's unbelievable. Because even with the transfer portal, you're still paying players to come to your school. You're paying these people to come to your school. And now, guess who that leaves in the dust? Those high school kids that are coming up that are actually working, that are actually grinding. Coaches are trying to save room on their rosters for the kids that they pull out of the transfer portal. And there's one in the fall and in the spring, if I'm not mistaken. So you can be left out. You can be left on the wayside despite what you can bring to a program, because they're more concerned about getting this experienced, this seasoned guy on their team through the transfer portal. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like even the coaching aspect of it, the recruiting aspect of it, all of this is being changed because these players are now getting this amount of bread.
And the last thing that I would say pains me the most when it comes to this new updates is I feel like the culture of the schools are being lost too.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is
yes.
Gone is the diehard person that came there their freshman year.
Right.
Worked his butt off to get to a point where he was too deep.
Right.
Ended up starting, played great years. It's like his life, blood, sweat, and tears was put into the program. There's a certain tie to that. That's why you see alma maters, different alumni go back to their schools and, just be like, it's just a staple of the culture there.
Yeah.
Would that ever be the same again? Because kids are leaving schools after 2 years.
Like after semesters.
You know what I mean? So
after semesters, they go.
Semesters, actually.
Yeah. After semesters, they going.
Yeah.
They'll probably play in the fall and be like, all right, I'm about to be out of here, and I'm going to another school in the spring.
So, and then so now my thought process is, I remember how that used to be a huge part of recruiting. Like, is this kid going to be committed to the program?
Exactly.
Is that still a thing anymore?
Exactly. Exactly. You know what I mean? And what that commitment teaches you. We are testaments to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Going through pace at 4 years, we didn't start. We didn't play freshman year. We didn't start. We didn't play sophomore year. Got some burn junior year, and then we got more playing time senior year. But if we were in the age that these kids are in now, the first thought in our minds probably would have been, I'm transferring.
Yep.
However, we were able to stand on that square, you know what I'm saying, and work every summer. And this is not, you know what I'm saying, this is not us giving ourselves praise, but it's like what that did for us is what translates into life now.
1,000%.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to run at the first sign of inconvenience. No, I'm going to figure out what I need to do to better myself in order to put myself in a position to get on the field. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure I leave no doubt in the coach's mind that I did everything that I could to prepare myself to play this game.
Yep.
Now, it's a different determination. It's a different drive. It's a different motivating factor that kind of, like, that fire that burns within you in order to play on the field. But if you have the option to get up and go, then that's exactly what you're going to continue to do. And where are you going to learn the core value principles, you know what I'm saying, that are going to help you get through life?
And I know you don't say that to say that every single person that does transfer is in the wrong.
Yeah. Right.
And I
thank you for clearing that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I'm in the same. I take your side too.
Yeah,
what you're saying. I definitely feel like
but sometimes situations cause you to have to leave.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, when what happened with us happened, freshman year, I definitely had that thought of transfer.
Yeah.
Mainly just because we had 8 quarterbacks in the room.
That too.
So it was like, but then obviously the situation and circumstances made me think that the best thought was to stay.
Yeah.
Some people, that's not going to be the case.
Right.
But that has to be a decision because this is not the best situation for my future.
Right.
Not financially. I mean, even though quote unquote
right,
financially, but not immediate financially.
Right.
This goes into the conversation about instant gratification.
Right.
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like,
exactly.
if you're transferring because you want immediate gratification of you earning more money.
Yeah.
You might be transferring for the wrong reasons.
Right.
Are you there? Are you in college to make money, or are you in college to set yourself up?
That's the other thing too. We here for school, really.
We're here for school, and we're here to set ourselves up for the future, whether it be a future in the NFL or a future in a career.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then let's be real. At the end of the day, and this is the part that gets me the most. We already had an issue with young people coming into the pros and mishandling money.
Yeah.
And y'all thought it was a great idea to just start giving millions of dollars to 18-year-olds?
Yo, that's a fact, bro.
Where's the financial culture for that person?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's much more regulated in the league. And sometimes, to that point, professionals, like those organizations, those franchises, kind of depend on people mishandling bread so they can make those roster cuts a lot more easier. I guess you can make the argument that if you give it to them earlier, they probably learn how to do it. And that's cool. Not $10 million.
No. $10 million is a bit much.
It's crazy.
I think the biggest issues with that is just one, the skewness that will happen to the landscape of college football, college basketball, all these different things, because kids are going to be chasing the money. Certain programs are going to get the short end of the stick in that sense. That, like we just said, the commitment towards being on a team and being there for 4 years. And then 3, just like the intensity and the hunger that these kids have to make it to the pros.
Exactly.
Those 3 things are probably the biggest concerns that I have right now.
100%.
When it comes to the NIL stuff.
100%.
And we'll see how it goes. But like I said, I don't even think I think NIL was kind of like COVID in the sense of like it didn't bring these things. It just exponentially
sped it up.
You know what I mean? Because these things were.
It was on its way.
It was
on its way. Because there were instances where we were like, something does need to happen to where athletes can at least get a little something, a little stipend or whatever. Because we got 2 examples. We can go Reggie Bush and we can go Johnny Manziel. Both of them. You know what I'm saying? Reggie Bush actually got penalized when he wasn't in the wrong. You know what I'm saying? Got his Heisman taken away for something that they believe a booster or someone gave to his parents, I believe. I think it was his mom's or his pops or something like that. So not even him himself, but yet he got penalized for it. Johnny Manziel, he blew up Texas A&M. And he legally wasn't able to touch any of the money that he generated. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he got bread elsewhere, but because he wasn't getting paid for his performance is why he went that route. Because his jerseys are selling. People are selling at that stadium coming to watch him play, but yet he's realistically not supposed to touch a dime from whatever's made off of his back. So we understand that something had to be done. But what they're calling it now is the Wild Wild West, and that's really what it is, because it's an anarchy. There is no rules, and that's when chaos ensues, when there is no order and when there is no structure. So the biggest thing now is how can you go about regulating this thing so that way we don't continue to cause these cancers in this program, in this industry, in this, institution as a whole. When we're talking about the NCAA. You know what I mean? I was talking with Key about this yesterday, and going back to the commitment point where it's just like, to what these kids are offered now is ridiculous. Because even outside of college and even outside of NIL and transfer portal, even if they don't want to go to college, for basketball players, you can do overtime elite. Meaning, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or you can go overseas and become a professional there, then come back. So it's just like the way we were brought up, our commitment was based off of the manual labor that we put in. You know what I'm saying? And for them, their commitment now was just kind of the technological world. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what their labor is these days.
And that's why I said like this was something that was bound to come, because what was slowly coming even before the NIL deal was the thought process of an athlete has options. When we were, even when we were athletes, there was that slowly coming about. But like when we go back to like the 90s and the 80s, it was NFL, NBA, or bust. It was played collegiate football, collegiate basketball at the Division I level. If you were maybe lucky, maybe you played really good at the Division II level. You got drafted or undrafted. You worked your butt off to get a contract, and you tried to stay in the NFL or NBA as long as possible. Because of that, you felt like you were under the mercy of the people who led the league. The owners, the coaches, whatever it may be. You had to abide by their rules and do what they said. Right. We started to see a bit of a change of that in the 2000s. We saw people like LeBron James come about.
For sure.
We saw people like all these different athletes that kind of like took a point and said, "Nah, I'm in control of my own future. I get to decide what I want to do with my career. Because at the end of the day, everyone's here to see me.
Exactly.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Athletes do deserve to have some type of options.
For sure.
When it comes to how they're going to enjoy their
no
career,
trade clauses come into effect and stuff like that. You
know what I mean? Like if an athlete gets opportunity to play in the G League instead of
G League too. Forgot about that.
You know what I mean? Or the Ignite League, or like the Africa League that they have now. Stuff like that. NFL, you see how they're trying to branch the sport to other places.
Exactly.
CFL is becoming a huge thing. USFL is now there.
Spring football,
so like there's options for people who love the sport to say, I don't have to
do
abide
it
by
the old way.
Exactly.
And
that's right. Like I said, it's rightfully so. But the thing about sports that is always going to be important in order for it to be sports is for there to be a certain level of loyalty and commitment to the process.
There's certain disciplines that come with playing the game.
You know what I mean? Just understanding that.
Yeah.
I feel how I feel.
Yes.
I want what I want. Yes. But if I'm gonna say this is my lifestyle and I'm gonna be the best that I could be at this, I have to make a certain commitment and loyalty to how this is done. You know?
And stick to it.
You know what I mean? You know, whether it's commitment and loyalty to the team that you're playing for, whether it's commitment and loyalty to the process that it takes for you to become successful, whether it's commitment and loyalty to the fan base that you have.
Yeah.
You know, it's not all about you. You know, it's not about you.
Yeah.
You know, as much as it is about you, and you know, we can't just tell people to shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
It's not all about you.
Exactly.
You know, and you have to do your job.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to do what it takes to get there. Because people before you did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How many people had to sacrifice, you know, that claw and climb to get to the places that they did early, you know, back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, and like we get better, we get smarter, we get wiser. So there's certain things that new guys realize, hey, that's not the best way to go about it.
Exactly.
But there still has to be a level of respect for the way to go about it.
100%. 100%. Last point I want to get into, because I know we got to wrap it up soon.
Yeah.
But, you know, to what some believe the solution should be, I've heard talks about the SEC and the Big Ten, along with others. They're working on revenue sharing plans, you know, where revenue is shared with the players. Now, I don't know how that works, but that's one thing that they want to consider. And then I heard some other experts talking about this situation, and they were like, this could be moving in the direction of a collective bargaining, you know what I'm saying, game? Yeah, exactly. And then they said that schools, to a certain extent now, have been doing 1, 2, and 3 year contracts with, you know what I'm saying, with players. You know what I'm saying? Like they're doing deals like that with players because they want to have that commitment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If I can give you, it's not as much as somebody else, but if I can give you this consistently for the time that you're here, are you going to be committed to my program?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Crazy.
That's where we're at with it now. We definitely had to do a follow-up episode because so much has happened since the first time this news broke out. You know what I mean? And if you are paying attention to college sports, you can see the dynamic change and the atmosphere change within the sport itself. Some positive, some negative. You know what I mean? But for us who have played this game and for us who enjoy watching it, we do want to see that authenticity in the game. We still want to see the purity in the game. And we also want the athletes to have that too. Fair chances, equal chances, and to make it about just being able to compete. You know what I mean? More than just about, hey, listen, we here to get some bread, and that's it. Because I'm not going to hold you, even to that point, Caleb Williams getting $10 million. USC was not in the playoffs. USC was not in the college football playoff.
Do? I mean, let me not do that because he was hooping.
He balls. Yeah.
He was balling.
He balls.
But dog,
you getting bread.
Y'all getting spanked.
Where is the program success?
Because
where's the program success?
Because we're gonna be real. Because y'all want to be professional athletes so much. Let's really talk about it.
Right.
When the pro athletes suck, that check gonna start.
Exactly. To that point, people aren't quick to sign you to whatever endorsements that they want to provide.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just something interesting to look at, and we'll see where it goes from there. But we definitely wanted to get back into some of our sports topics, and we absolutely will do it. This is just the first one that we've done in some time, but we're going to get back to it. We appreciate y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Follow us, watch the videos. Y'all know what it is. It's Reef and Joe here, man. Holla at us.
You know the vibes.
That's a fact.